The commie kook prevails in Michigan. Abdul El-Sayed is now the Democrat nominee for the United States Senate. Can Mike Rogers and the Republicans stop him as the Democrat implosion continues? Let's go.
Let's go.
The communist takeover of the Democrat Party is officially complete. This is no town council race. This isn't even the mayor of New York City. The guy just won the primary in a purple state, Michigan, a state Donald Trump won twice, 3 times if you ask him. And he's now the Democrat nominee for the United States Senate. He is a guy who pals around with people who hate this country. And Bernie Sanders, big win. Bernie gets the win here, no doubt about it. Bernie, AOC, America's mother-in-law, Elizabeth Warren, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, this is their moment. And while it was close, it really shouldn't have been close because Haley Stevens had the backing of the establishment, the Democrat Party, but that's the problem, is that the Democrat Party has imploded officially. The communists have taken over, and there's so much anger in the base over the fact that they stopped Bernie Sanders in Michigan in 2016 and 2020. That they stopped Bernie Sanders in 2020 in Michigan, and that's when everybody came around and said, we're backing Joe Biden. You remember that? Pete Buttigieg was the first to go, and then one by one, except for Elizabeth Warren, she stayed in the race to cut into Bernie's totals, and then Biden won the nomination. The anger that the base feels in the Democrat Party is now metastasizing into candidates like Abdul El-Sayed and his victory in Michigan. So the question is, can Republicans stop him? Can Mike Rogers, who's a Republican nominee, former congressman, or current congressman, whatever, can he stop Abdul El-Sayed? I don't know. I'll be very honest with you. It looks like on paper he should, but El-Sayed is very articulate. He's really good. You know, he's good, and I heard his entire press conference and victory speech earlier today. I listened to the whole thing, so you didn't have to. And no, I'm not going to burden you with a lot of his clips and his audio, but I listened to it, and the guy is very articulate. So Republicans are going to have to work really hard to win this race. And the question is going to be, where will America be as far as Iran? Where will gas prices be, oil prices, all those things between now and November when election season opens up in the purple state of Michigan? That's the question. And I think it's really interesting because we're at a moment right now where you have so-called mainstream Democrats. I'm going to use air quotes here because I don't even know if mainstream is the right way to put it. You know, the reality is these are outliers. Like John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, the United States Senator for PA, he's an outlier now. Carville, they don't want him around. They don't want the raging Cajun, old baby boomer, white dude. They don't want him around anymore. So forget him. Guys like Josh Gottheimer, Jewish congressman from North Jersey, they don't want to listen to him either. They don't want him. So these guys are outliers. I have news for you. The mainstream Democrats are the socialists. The mainstream Democrats are the communists. That's the reality of this moment in time. The pendulum may shift, but it seems to be shifting further and further left, at least as far as the Democrat Party goes. That's where we are. And so the question is, will Mike Rogers' message work? Will Mike Rogers' message work? And I'm going to play you the ad that he put out. And it's I don't know if this is running on TV. I don't know if this is a new ad. I don't know if this is something that they just put up on Facebook, but I saw it on his Facebook page earlier today. He wants to link him to people like Hasan, Piker and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and other squatties who hate this country, and then channel that into the Michigan blue-collar auto worker, steel worker vibe. But the United Auto Workers backed Sayed. Why? Because he's promising them universal health care. He's promising them Medicare for all. He's promising them higher wages. So the question is that, again, the leadership speaking, because we've seen this dichotomy before, right? We've seen this where you have the leadership of the unions. They want the Democrat, but the guys and gals who actually work for a living, they vote for Trump. Will that translate in this election too? So when he says, I got the support of the United Auto Workers, you have the support of the United Workers leadership. Do you have the support of the everyday average worker of the United Auto Workers? Now, I'm not talking about the high-paid guys at the top who always support the socialists. I'm talking about the blue-collar men and women. That's going to be the test going into this November. Will the blue-collar Michiganders Will they back this guy, El-Sayed? Do they want to see their money redistributed? Do they want to see this great socialist takeover? Or do they want to back a guy, Mike Rogers, who's much more mainstream? Now, early on, the polling showed Mike Rogers completely dominates El-Sayed. Polymarket has changed since this victory now and changed their odds. And Fauci, I should say, at least Fauci, they are now putting it where they believe that El-Sayed has a win here, a potential win coming out. And I don't know if that's the case, but they're giving him big odds going into this. That may just be a way for them to rack up some dollars early on. And I don't know how much faith I put into any of these betting markets at this point. But the polls were off again because the polls showed that Haley Stevens was going to win, and she didn't clearly, and it was close. Yeah, but it's also August. It's August, and it's Michigan, and people are on vacation. And this guy prevailed despite the entire Democrat establishment stopping him. So here's Mike Rogers' ad.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
When I was in college, I took a terrorism class.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
You know, I am in support of abolishing ICE.
Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the
Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
The people who listen to Hasan are engaging in faith. They want a way forward into our politics.
You are who your friends are. That's Mike Rogers' ad, and I should have said earmuff. Sorry about that, but it's his official ad, so take it up with his campaign. But those are actual quotes. I mean, he didn't edit in the F word. Like, those are things that the people backing El-Sayed have said. He said, quote, "I spent years hunting terrorists and bringing Osama bin Laden to justice. Never in a million years did I think I'd be running against someone who believes America deserved 9/11. Well, that's exactly what Hasan Piker said. That's who you heard in that clip. He's the guy who's out there. He's the darling of the left right now. He's a podcaster and a streamer, and they love him. And he's part of the reason why James Carville said, if Hasan Piker is the way the Democrat Party's going, then count me out. Bill Maher said the same thing. John Fetterman has said the same thing as well. In fact, this is Chuck Schumer dodging the question of, is the rise of the DSA good for your party? And I got news for you. It's not the rise of the DSA. It's the takeover of the DSA. And if El-Sayed is elected to the United States Senate, Chuck Schumer is done. Ken Martin, the DNC chairman, who put out a statement today backing El-Sayed, he's done too. Like, these guys will not be able to survive this. The establishment, they're holding on by the skin of their teeth right now, and that's only till the general election. And this is Chuck Schumer dodging that.
And Manu.
Thank you. Is the rise of the DSA good for your party?
Look, we are a big tent party, and being a big tent party is a strength, not a weakness.
Okay, what have I told you before? I've said when they say big tent, that's code for we welcome the commies and the socialists. We're no longer standing up to them. We're no longer kicking them out. We now welcome them into the tent because we want to save our own political hide. And we know that that's where the energy of the party is. So yes, we now welcome them. There was a time when we didn't, or a time where we at least told them, shh, be quiet, stand in the back of the room and don't say anything. Let the adults run the situation. Now we welcome them in with a big tent. They do, I should say. I'm the proverbial we, but you get the point. This is John Fetterman, who spoke out about Abdul El-Sayed and the other people who are backing him. This is cut 6.
And a lot of the things that he has done and said during the primary, we're going to come back to haunt, like campaigning with a guy that loves Hamas and is very proud to stand with communist regimes.
So you're talking about Hasan Piker?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Who was out there with El-Sayed on the campaign trail. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, you'll be able to find out what he really thinks. Is he still going to campaign with a guy that proud to love Hamas? We'll see. Are you going to campaign with a guy that openly loved Mao and even dresses like him for events? So overall, you're going to find out he was he had a very arrogant campaign, and now today he just discovered that less than a majority of your state's only Democrats didn't even want you.
Yeah, but you know what? The question is, how many of those Democrats now come over to him, and how many of them either stay home or vote for Mike Rogers? And I don't know the answer to that, because we've never seen before something like this play out. which is, I don't just mean the guy is a socialist and a communist in his economic thinking. Sayed believes in the radical transformation of the republic. That's packing the Supreme Court, abolishing the Senate, getting rid of the Electoral College, abolishing the filibuster, having roughshod over everything. That's what he believes. And then, of course, abolishing ICE and open borders. I mean, he's now backtracking and saying he supports strong borders. No, he doesn't, because without having ICE there to deport people, you don't really believe in strong borders. So, it's a little dance he's doing, as he says, defund ICE on the one hand, but support Customs and Border Patrol on the other. Like, stop, okay? There are people that are within the country who are here illegally. It's not just a matter of securing the southern border, or every border for that matter, but he knows that. He's playing a game. This is Bernie Sanders, who was asked a question on CNN last night as they're doing their little CNN political roundtable. Listen, man, how can you back a guy who has the support of Hasan Piker? And again, Hasan Piker he's the darling of the left, streamer, podcaster, millions and millions of views. He's the voice of the left right now. It's not Bill Maher. It's not John Fetterman. It's not James Carville. It's Hasan Piker. And that's a very dangerous thing for our country. It's a dangerous thing for the Democrat Party, in my opinion. And I want a strong Democrat Party to make Republicans better, to hold the Republicans accountable so that they're actually conservatives and not a bunch of rhinos running around. But you get a party that's so far to the left, that's going to become very problematic. But Bernie, again, with the big tent nonsense, everybody's welcome, blah, blah, blah. And even if I don't support somebody, what they said, I can still back the candidate, blah, blah, blah. Here's what he said.
To give you an example, one of the more controversial ones is that Piker has said America deserved 9/11. Are you comfortable with that association?
No, I am not. I think that's a dumb statement. On the other hand, he has a whole lot of followers, and there's a lot of things that he's saying that are making sense to a lot of people. I think, we have to get above cancel culture. When you're doing radio, whatever they do, podcasts 3 hours a day, you say dumb things. I suspect if you go back over your career, there may be one or two things that you said that you may have regretted. But I think what we have got to do is look at the totality of where people are coming from and go forward.
So when someone like James Carville says he doesn't want to be in the same political party as Hasan Piker, which one are you going to take?
Well, that's not much of a choice. If Mr. Carville doesn't want to be in my party, the party that I belong to, that Piker, that El-Sayed belongs to, he can start his own party. But I think we need a big tent, and I think people like Piker should be welcome into that, certainly.
All right, let's understand something. Saying a dumb thing might be like, Olive Garden has good pasta. Like, that's a dumb thing to say, all right? America deserved 9/11. F it, I'm going to say it. That's not a dumb thing. That is as anti-American, grotesque, repulsive as you possibly can get. That means you hate America. That's not a dumb thing to say. A dumb thing to say is when a woman says to you, does this dress make me look fat? And you go, yes. Like, that's a dumb thing to say. Never, ever, ever tell the truth in that moment. Never. But a dumb thing is not America deserved 9/11. F it, I'll say it. That's not a dumb thing. That's not somebody who's on the air for 3 hours a day. And as somebody who's on the air for 4 hours a day, every day for years, I can tell you that, yeah, you may say some dumb things, but you don't accidentally say America deserved 9/11. F it, I'll say it. That doesn't just slip out because you've been on the air too long and your brain starts to melt down. And I've said some dumb things in my career. I've never came close to saying anything like that, because the only reason you say something like that is if you believe it. If you believe America deserves 9/11, because you believe America is an evil place and America's foreign policy caused 9/11. And that's what Piker believes. And when Bernie was given the choice just then, would you take James Carville or Hasan Piker? Who did he choose? He chose Hasan Piker. And he said, if Mr. Carville doesn't like it, he can start his own party. But Piker stays. And the reality is, because he has a lot of followers, and Bernie said that too, and you heard him. He said he has a lot of followers and he has a lot of good positions on things. Translation, I want his followers to keep helping me build this movement because I am the OG. And Bernie does deserve the win here. If Bernie had not backed El-Sayed, if he had not come out and brought all his squad kooks with him on the road and did the road show and brought Hasan Piker out there and everything, maybe it would be a different result right now. And El-Sayed in his speech this morning, his victory address, and his taking questions from the press, he thanked Bernie.
Thank you to my first endorsers. Bernie Sanders, the OG who came in on day one, put his entire shoulder in the work. I just hope that I can help to carry some of that load in the fight for working people and Medicare for all that he's been carrying for all of this time.
The OG. This is Bernie's moment. This is Bernie's movement. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also deserves a major win here because she also was behind El-Sayed. And remember, she wants to run for president of the United States of America. Kamala Harris is now trying to position herself to be somebody that the far left can get on board with. I shouldn't even say far left because they're the left now, that the left can get on board with by adopting many of their same policy positions. But I got news for you. They don't want her. No, they do not. They view her as the establishment candidate. They do not believe that she's actually one of them. So this is the moment right now. This is the moment. And how Republicans treat this moment is going to be the defining point. And I think the message needs to be their economic policies will cost you more money. In my opinion, the way that you push back on this, it's fine to bring up how they hate America. It's fine to bring out how kooky they are, but you got to make people understand at the end of the day, their positions will cost you more money. So if you're a hardworking Michigander or wherever you are, and you're working in the steel mills, you're working on the assembly line, you're working in the factories, you're going to end up paying more. They're going to sell you on you're going to get more, but you're going to end up paying more because they want to take more of your money and redistribute it. That's the reality. And you're going to end up paying for people who don't want to get off the couch and go to work. Yes, you will be subsidizing an entire population of people that don't want to work. And there is a huge movement of that now. A little bit later in the show, I'll get into a story with you. The rise of the stay-at-home boyfriend. No, I don't mean stay-at-home dads, stay-at-home husbands who are taking care of the kids. I'm talking about stay-at-home boyfriends. There are no kids involved. These are just dudes that don't want to go to work. And there are women now who are supporting them because now there's more women in the labor force than men, which is insane in so many different ways. But there's a whole percentage of people, especially in the younger generation of even younger than Gen Z out there, they don't want to work. They don't think they should have to work. They think it's ridiculous that they have to go and break a sweat for a living, that they can't make money off their French art, lesbian history degree. And when guys like El-Sayed come on the scene, they vote for them thinking I won't ever have to work. So the guy who's working out there, and this is what my advice to the Republicans, you got to convince the guy who gets up every day and busts his ass to make a living that he's going to pay more to support those guys that will not get off the couch, the beta males who will not work for a living, and the people that want to just cling on the system. If you can do that, you can prevail. If you don't do that, all the Hasan Piker clips in the world will not save you. All the clips of Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and it's not going to work. Because they're promising an economic utopia that they cannot deliver. And unless Republicans address that head on, right in the middle, I mean, right square in the face, I mean, you got to go right there and you got to address it right on. And you got to say to them, they are promising you an economic utopia that doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. It is the big tent, what they're doing is they're handing out free things, but nothing's free. Somebody's paying for that. The guys who woke up early to pitch the tents, the circus tents, not the other kind of pitching a tent. Those guys who bust their ass for a living, they're going to be subsidizing an entire population of people that don't believe in work. Not even hard work, just work. They don't believe they should have to. That's the message Republicans need to give. And the president talking about how the cities and other places that are run by the socialists and commies are filthy and dirty and disgusting. This is what he said on that cut one.
I think it's crazy because they're going to ruin our country. They want to, I don't know if they want to. I think either they're very naive or they actually want to ruin the country. No matter where you look, go back 1,000 years with different names, anybody doing what they're doing and what they're espousing, everything turns out to ashes and junk and filth. You know, one thing I said the other day for the first time ever, never thought of it, but you go to these cities that are taken over by the socialists and the communists, they're always filthy dirty, they're disgusting. They're always dirty, and, you know, I'm a clean person, and people I know are clean. They like that, and you are. I know you very well. You're very clean. But they're, aside from crime, aside from all of the other problems, no jobs, no anything, no money, they're always filthy, disgusting, dirty, and that's what you'll get.
Right now, Fauci is giving El-Sayed a 62% chance of beating Mike Rogers at 38% chance. Now, look, I don't know how much stock you put into this stuff. I'm just going to tell you this guy obviously has a very motivated base. Does Mike Rogers bring out the same passion and enthusiasm among his supporters? Probably not. So it's going to be a vote to stop El-Sayed, whereas his people are voting for him. They're voting, and you win politics, you win races one of two ways. You either get people to vote for you or you get people to vote against your opponent. I know that sounds like the same thing, but it's not. You either motivate people by positive or negative. So the positive is you vote for me and I'll give you all this stuff, or the negative is you vote to stop the other person. And those are what we call a hold your nose situation. So can Mike Rogers get some of those Democrats who voted for Haley Stevens in Michigan? Can he convince those people to come over to him to stop El-Sayed? Or do they just say, you know what, this is our chance to have a Democrat majority in the U.S. Senate and we're going to go with it? And Sayed's got a very passionate base, and that passionate base comes out for him, and he prevails in November. Again, I think this message has to come back to economics. It has to come back to saying that his policies, he can never deliver on this, but it's going to cost you more money. It's in all these places, in all these races where you've got these socialists who are running. You have to expose the fact that their policies are a utopian fantasy that can never come to life. Never. For the third time in history, women outnumber men in the workforce as the stay-at-home boyfriend becomes an economic trend. By the way, welcome to the show. We're going to be in Cape May on Friday. So 2 days from now, on Friday, 3 to 6 p.m., live broadcast, and I would love to see you there. So join us at the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey, this coming Friday, August 7th. You don't need a ticket. You don't need a reservation. Just come on by the show. You can stay for all of it. You can stay for part of it, whatever you like. But I want to see you there. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have a lot of fun. And you're going to miss out if you're not there. So make sure you come and join us for that, okay? Now, the rise of the stay-at-home boyfriend is now an economic trend. This is Fortune.com with this article, and a couple key takeaways from this that I want to share with you. For the third time in history, women outnumber men in the workforce. I might have said it was the first time, but it's the third time. As the stay-at-home boyfriend becomes an economic trend. As of early 2026, women held more payroll jobs than men in the United States. This has happened twice before, briefly during the Great Recession, and again just before COVID, and both times it reversed. Well, right now we don't have a Great Recession, and there's no global pandemic. So what's changing? Laura Ulrich, a former regional economist at the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, who authored a March analysis through Indeed's hiring lab, says this time is structurally different. It definitely doesn't, to me, seem like the change has been driven by a recessionary period, which is what typically drives it. This seems to be more of a long-term decline that's led to a more permanent shift going forward, or at least semi-permanent. Why are men exiting the workforce? This is where the narrative gets complicated and more interesting. Both male and female participation rates are lower than they were in 2000, but men are falling off at a rate that dwarfs women's decline. Right before COVID, the male labor force participation rate was about 70%. It's now dropped by about 2 or 3 points. The female rate dropped just 0.6 points over the same period. It's fewer men entering. Younger men today, this is the key takeaway, younger men today are less likely to be working than their fathers were at the same age. So who's supporting them? Well, a lot of these beta males, the government's going to support them. That's their hope. That's why they're gravitating towards people like Bernie Sanders, El-Sayed, AOC. That's why the commies are winning, because they promise them they won't ever have to work. We'll give you universal basic wage. You'll be fine. You'll be good. Don't worry about it. And the joy and the value of achieving a goal in life, gone. That's gone. They in their mind, they don't want to work. There has been more of a transition where parents are supporting their adult children for longer. The data do show that more young adult men live with their parents than women. And then there are the partners. Almost everybody you talk to will have a story about supporting an unemployed man. What's changed isn't the dynamic itself, but the fact that it no longer carries the stigma it once did. The stay-at-home boyfriend, once a punchline, is now a statistically significant labor market phenomenon. In fact, a landmark paper published in the Journal of Political Economy, first circulated through the National Bureau of Economic Research, found roughly 70% of the hours young men aren't working being spent on video games and recreational computer use. The Economist calculated that improvements in gaming technology since 2004 alone can explain nearly half the increase in young men's leisure hours. Oh, please. I would have been fine playing Madden football before 2004 and doing nothing and getting a job, except that it was ingrained in me that work is good for the soul, that it's better to be working than to not be working, that you gain something by doing something with your life and not just sitting on the couch all day. In fact, sitting on the couch all day playing video games is a freaking depressing existence. Like, I love movies, but if I watched them all day and did nothing and contributed nothing to society, that would be a depressing existence. It's not anymore. Nowadays, if you're a young guy and you go to work, now you're looked at as the oddball. Now you're looked at as like, well, dude, what's wrong with you? Why are you working? This is where we are right now. And it shows no chance of changing. If you look at the overall downward trend, it's just been on a downward trajectory. The stay-at-home boyfriend is just no longer a TikTok trend. He's a Federal Reserve data point. And the women paying his rent is increasingly the American economy. So that tells you something else right there, too. Republicans need to go after working women in the labor force and convince them that not only will those women have to support their lazy stay-at-home beta male boyfriends sitting on the couch playing Xbox all day and smoking pot and watching Marvel movies over and over again. Again, a dream lifestyle for a couple days. And then you wind up going into depression. And a lot of these guys are. I'm convinced of it. They got to convince these women, hey, listen, not only will you be supporting that schlub, you're going to be supporting an entire population of them. Because El-Sayed and his crew, they're promising those guys they'll never have to work to get their votes. And why should they have to? They've grown up entitled. Why should they have to actually enter the labor force? That is the big story of the hour by a guy who works very hard to give you a beautiful smile, Dr. Mike Veneria, veneriadental.com. He's my dentist. He's my friend. He is the master of dental implants, and he works very hard every day to give you the beautiful smile that you deserve. So go see Dr. Mike today, veneriadental.com. It's crazy to me that that's where we are in this country. And I work, Jared works. Did you ever think it would get to this point, Jared, where men are like bragging about the fact that they don't work?
I agree with you on everything. Follow-up question. Is there like a website for the women that are looking for stay-at-home boyfriends? Or is it like it's like an invite only? Like, how do I... In
other words, if I'm a young millennial, actually Gen Z, stay-at-home boyfriend, potential boyfriend, how do I find a woman with a really secure corporate job who will take care of me all day and be okay with it, by the way?
Again, but I'm just asking for a friend. I'm definitely not looking for that. I'm trying to do some show research,
Right.
Like
right. Show prep. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but also in the chat, if anybody knows of I'll be a kept man. I've worked nigh on these 25 last years. Let's call it.
Yeah, but that's the key. You've worked for decades.
I'm just saying.
You put in your time.
Rich, I mean, listen, I've seen what it looks like. I'm just wondering what the other side of the fence is. Maybe it's a little more fun. Maybe it's a little more pool time. Maybe it's, get a little ski lesson, well.
Yeah, you keep getting back into the labor force every time you leave it. So why? Because you'd be bored. You can't do it.
To that point, you talk about movies. When you're out of a job, that first day, boy, it's 3 or 4 movies every day, and you're just crushing them. Day 3, it's 2 movies. Day 4, it's maybe a start and stop of a movie throughout the day because you can't live with yourself. It's not okay.
Right.
But I've never really tried, Rich. I think if I really found a woman that wanted to take care of me, I can do it. I can commit to this.
Yeah. You can, and I think we're all rooting for you. We're all counting on you to try it on our behalf.
Thank you.
Like, there are a lot of guys out there who will be like, well, I could be a stay-at-home dad. That's a I'm telling you, for men, that's a nightmare existence. Having 3 kids, it's horrible. A nightmare.
I don't want to be a stay-at-home dad. I want to be a stay-at-home boyfriend.
But that's what I mean. These boyfriends don't even have kids. So they're literally stay-at-home boyfriends. And all day long, I mean, maybe they cook their girlfriend's dinner, maybe, but they probably most likely ordered the Grubhub, honestly.
I'll do that. I'll cook dinner. I'll do the dishes. Nice, clean house. Come home to a clean house every day. I got you, girl. Just let me know.
And she's like, how was your day? You're like, great. I watched Deadpool for the 18th time today. All 3.
Listen,
I have thoughts on Wolverine I want to talk to you about over dinner. She's like, that's great. I was working on spreadsheets all day, you lazy bastard.
You connect with the other stay-at-home boyfriends and you compare notes with them, right? We're going to make a community here, Rich. Right? It's just like the chats here. It's a community, right? I'm going to make a stay-at-home boyfriend.
We're going to make a community, and we'll play Xbox together online. We're not going to hang out. Those guys don't hang out together. They just, one couch connects to the other couch and they play games and then, I got to order the Grubhub. Hang on. Stand by. Okay, it's done. Here I go.
Again, Rich, I'm willing to try. I think I can do it. I believe in me.
Well, if you believe in Jared, hook him up with ebetamalesharmony.com.
I might have to workshop that name a little bit. I was thinking I'm sure if I go to betamales.com, it's already taken by some other kind of website. So I'm gonna work on that.
Probably work on that. Probably spend some time on that one if you could. That'd be great. Friday in Cape May, it's going to be a blast. Unfortunately, Jared won't be joining us, but I'll be reunited with Matt DeSantis and Justin Otero, two of the three disgruntled taxpayers, my former producers, 3 to 7 p.m. The show will be 3 to 6 p.m. at the Grand Hotel. The bar will be flowing and great people are coming. So I want you to join us. If you've been on the fence about it, just come. You'll have a great time. It's always a fun show. They're unpredictable. And I'm looking forward to being back live on the radio for 3 hours, something I haven't done in a while. So it'll be a great reunion and a great time to see you. And the Grand Hotel is beautiful. It really is. It's a beautiful hotel with an outdoor, beautiful, gigantic heated swimming pool, an indoor heated swimming pool in case the weather's bad. It's got a hot tub. My kids love the hot tub. It's got a game room. It's got a restaurant right on site, Hemingway's Restaurant. Best steaks, seafood, freshest seafood, handcrafted cocktails, great service. And it also has beach access right there and a beach concession stand where you can use your resort credits to get all kinds of great things at the beach concession stand. Has a gift shop right on site too. You can use your resort credits to take the family on a whale watching boat cruise if you want. Now, in September, another great time to be there. You can make it a September to remember. So you come Friday, August 7th, a couple days from now, and then you go back in September. The crowds are gone, the weather is perfect, and you get 10% off your stay, 2 nights or more. And if you stay 3 nights or more, you're going to get 10% off and $55 a night in resort credits that you can use at the resort how you want to use them. You'll love the people. You'll love the atmosphere. It's why it's also the best place to host a wedding. Beachfront weddings, storybook weddings, baby showers, bridal showers, family reunions, you name it, corporate events. My friend Caitlin, she will take care of you and make sure you have the event of your dreams. So always book direct with them for the best rates, to get the discounts, and to get the resort credits by going to grandhotelcapemay.com, grandhotelcapemay.com, and I will see you on Friday, 3 to 6 p.m., live at my happy place, the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. Before the polls closed last night, El-Sayed targeted Mike Rogers. He did a lot of that today in his speech, basically saying he's a hack for AIPAC, a hack for Big Pharma. He's a neocon. He loves war, all these things. I don't see Mike Rogers having the same kind of passionate support. I don't know if there's a lot of people out there like Trump has, obviously, an incredible amount of passionate supporters. I don't know how many Mike Rogers has. So this is really going to be a campaign where you got to convince people to stop El-Sayed and to stop socialism and communism. Because rallying the Rogers bros is not exactly going to be what's going to be your winning formula. It's just not. I'm just being honest with you. I always call it like I see it. You've known that about me. If you're new to the show, that's what I do. I call it like I see it. I do not mince words, say the party line or anything like that. Now, I heard another commentator on a certain network that I'm on a lot say like, oh, like Rogers has this in the bag. Is this guy such a far left kook? I'm like, no, he doesn't have it in the bag. I mean, theoretically he should, but we're at a very different time right now. If we're at a time right now where young men are openly bragging about how they're kept men and they're just staying at home, this is a different time. So the only way you've got to get people to want to go out and vote for Mike Rogers is to stop El-Sayed and doing his economic damage to America. And here's some of El-Sayed targeting Mike Rogers.
Going to beat Mike Rogers and their money. I want you to remind them that if we come through this, when we come through this, inshallah, that will have taken $70 million on the chin and kept fighting back. But I also want to speak to this moment. We've got 13 weeks to defeat Mike Rogers. And however we might feel about the campaign we've just come through, I want you to understand that it pales in comparison to the cynicism, in comparison to the corporatism, in comparison to the lies that Mike Rogers and Donald Trump are going to tell. There is so much more that unites us. However much we might disagree with our Democratic
All right, that's enough. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate that. But he's a good talker. He's a very eloquent guy. And he's going to sell people every promise in the world and promise them a utopia, and you won't have to work, and the government will provide for you, and you'll be fine. So let's hope the auto workers are not with him. It's just their leadership. Let's hope that all these other unions that he rattled off today, again, it's the leadership, not the everyday guy and gal who work for a living. Let's hope that's the case. As we continue along the show here, I also want to mention a couple other things for you as well. Yesterday, there was a bit... Yes, Jared, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I wanted to ask a question about the Bernie clip. You're better at politics than I am, where they asked who belongs, El-Sayed or James Carville in the party.
Yeah.
She said in your party. And then is he a Democrat?
He's a Democrat socialist, Jared. But he caucuses with the Democrats, and he votes for Democrats.
I always see I-VT. Just curious why he gets to decide who's in a party that he refuses to be a part of unless he's running for president.
Well, it's a great question. And I think the answer is that because he's now decided that they can take over the Democrat Party after stopping him for all these years. So it's like, well, I didn't want to party with these people because they stopped me. And now we're taking over the party, and we're going to make it cool again. And we're going to let you in once we're fully in charge. And we're pretty much almost fully in charge. Get it? That answer your question?
Heck yeah. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. I mean, I think. I haven't chatted with him. I came close to having him on my show once many, many years ago when he was running for president. And it was 2016. We had the interview booked, and then he bailed at the last minute.
We did one with him, and I will previously he was stumping for somebody. Never had a guy who stuck to the talking points so well. It was just like, hey, so what do you think about this? We're actually going to talk about affordability. Like whatever you asked, he would just turn it back to whatever the person that he was stumping for. I mean, I believe we cut the interview short because it was so boring, because he just would turn it and turn it and turn it. He doesn't seem like he does
no harm, stay on message interview, right?
Yeah, exactly. And probably because we're radio, like he does podcast, he does other stuff, and he seems more, but that was pre his 2016 run, but he was just message. It was boring, actually.
I'm sure it was. It sounds boring. Just having you talk about it sounds boring. Now, I'm not saying you're boring. I'm saying that just even hearing about it sounds boring. You can only imagine how the interview went. That sounds boring. We'll get into gay guys and GLP-1s, the Bears. Actually, do that now because I need to take a mental break.
This is the mental break. Okay.
Yeah, I need to take a mental break from politics, so we're going to put up this picture. I don't know why we're doing this. Why did you send me this? God, we're losing all our YouTube viewers right now. By the way, subscribe at youtube.com/@RichZeoli show. Even if you're listening on the radio or listening on the podcast, and thank you for doing that. We're still in the Apple Podcast top charts for politics. Again, now this is like week number 3, which is really, really awesome. Maybe week 4, I don't know, but thank you for that. But yeah, listen, when you get a chance, check out YouTube and check out the show, because there's some stuff you're going to miss, like the graphic of this dude. Provincetown Bear Week feels different in the age of GLP-1. Why are we doing this?
Because we talked about it. It came up on Monday, and then the Times runs a story right about it, right? Like where I said, I'm pretty sure all the gay guys are in shape. And then you're like, what about bears? And then later that day, like I think on the Drudge Report, there's a story. It's like Tubby's finding love at an age of Ozempic. And I was like, well, it's like it was meant to be. It's like the story, like we had to get there.
I have this memory. Bridget and I went out to wine country I think it was 2010, and we spent some time in San Francisco. And the hotel we were at, I get in the elevator, and all these massive, hairy dudes around me. And it's like me and Bridget, and these just big, fat, hairy guys. And I'm looking around, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And it turns out there was a bear convention going on at the hotel, the same hotel we were at. I'm like, well, no wonder why we got this for such a steal.
You were probably the least fun people at that hotel. I'm sure.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
I don't need to. Nobody needs to read the article, but basically, because of Ozempic, the big hairy guys are now so in demand that guys that like big hairy guys can't get any, and so the big hairy guys now have their like pick of the litter, and it's an incredible. If you're really into it, go find it. It was a Times article from Monday, but like it was awesome. It was just a serendipitous, awesome moment. To my point, all the gay guys are skinny.
Like the picture is like a big fat hairy guy with big man boobs, but his belly's a little bit smaller than it was, but the man boobs are still there because I think you got to get those maybe surgically removed. And so he's got his man tatas, but the stomach is a little bit smaller, I think.
To be clear, he looks like anybody else you've seen on the beach of Wildwood. Like, he looks pretty, it's pretty Jersey Shore of him. It's not that far off.
My apologies. I'm sorry.
One more time. There it is. Enjoy.
Oh, God, no. Are his nipples pierced like Governor Cuomo's?
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, no, they don't appear to be. I forgot that.
Okay. All right. Look, it's a crazy time in America right now. I don't know what else to tell you. It's pretty friggin' nutty time. And maybe some of that nutty time comes from college and how we've gotten here. Penn professor claims cisness is unnatural and sex isn't real in a brand new book. Now, I wonder how many of these beta male boyfriends, and maybe you're wondering the exact same thing that I'm wondering, is how many of these beta male boyfriends are actually having relations with their woman who's working all day and busting her butt. I don't know, because renderings of stable biological binary sex don't make sense under close scrutiny, writes a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. I know we're all shocked by that. This is from our friends at the College Fix. University of Pennsylvania professor Beans Velacci. Well, could have called that. If you're named Beans, you're becoming a professor. There's not much else you can do with your life. Published a book this year claiming sex isn't real and the gender binary is incoherent. And this is the kind of stuff you pay lots and lots of money to send your kids to learn, and you wonder why your kids can't get a job, and you wonder why your kids don't want to have a job. Sex isn't real, the invention of an incoherent binary. In an interview with Duke University Press, which published the book, Velacci expressed joy that any right-wing or TERF detractor who wants to S-talk the book is going to have to say or write the phrase, sex isn't real in the process. By the way, I believe sex isn't real in an entire generation of young men. It scares the hell out of me, but we know that. We know that population is declining among that age group, and I don't think they want to have real relationships. I don't think they need to. I think it's just more work for them. I think they think that they can just have a digital relationship, and that's fine. That's fine for them. So I don't doubt that. And in fact, one of the things that actually really does scare me going forward about our society and our culture, no doubt about that. And this idea that cisness, meaning that you're a cisgendered male, it's unnatural. You know what that is? That comes down to it's the same thing the left has been doing for a long time. They always love to divide people on battle lines. Like, for the most part, the culture wars are over. Like, it's done, right? But it keeps popping up again. It keeps creeping up because the left doesn't want to let it go. They want to keep trying to divide people over these issues. And that's why you have stories about like the WNBA and that coach who's like, well, when I was a little girl, I played basketball with the boys. Yeah, of course you did, until you hit puberty. And then the boys ran roughshod over you. And that's why they had a girls team and a boys team. For the most part, this stuff is over, and most people see it calmly and reasonably, but the left does not want to let that go. They want to keep fighting over this same culture war over and over again. I just wonder that if there's a generation out there that has been so indoctrinated in colleges, which is why they're going for all these socialists, that also believes this crap. And I think it goes part of what happened with the hearing on Capitol Hill last week. We had the woman who runs the Smithsonian. And, the Trump administration is like, we got to get the wokeness out of the Smithsonian. We got to remove this stuff. The woman at the epicenter of this, she's somebody who believes, again, America is a horrible, no good, very bad place. And so when you think about that, And she admits that she sees history as a tool of social justice in this explosive hearing. And we have a little bit of her remarks, which came to light after the hearing ended. And take a listen.
History as a practice, as David has shared so beautifully, some grounding and essential questions, is for me a prime tool of social justice. It's also in the way in which I've grown personally. It continues to grow resolute in my mind, and it is the key that unlocks the mysteries of humanity, of meaning, of place, of conquest, of love, of power, authority, and self.
I don't know what any of those words mean. All I know is that this is who's running the Smithsonian right now. And they had this explosive hearing last night. This clip came out in 2025. She was trying to, or explosive hearing last week. She was trying to claim that no, she doesn't let her wokeness into the museum. She asserted the U.S. has a long and violent racial history, which continues to be present. And a series of July hearings on Capitol Hill. Her name is Anthea Hartig. She said history is a practice, a prime tool of social justice. Her record of objectivity and nonpartisanship she was trying to defend, but now we know that she's definitely an equity-based, justice-forward, community-driven, and necessary humble approach to public history and do service. She said the United States has a long and violent history, racial history, and continues to be present in our reckoning. Redress in any form of reparation, of course, goes beyond acknowledgement of wrongdoing. It should leverage responsibility. It should think about the act of correction as we pursue restorative justice. And for us on the call, restorative justice through history. During her testimony in Capitol Hill last month, she said, our work is governed by the standards of scholarship and independence and nonpartisanship at the Smithsonian. She said the museum does not take sides in America's political debates, but we preserve and document the evidence of American life in all of its breadth so that the public can encounter the past and draw their own conclusions. But many of the Republicans on the panel who went through this said, and they pointed out all kinds of different examples of how the museum is pushing a very woke history of the United States of America. And a lot of this comes down to the fact that we're dealing with this question of how do we teach American history. We've had Dr. Wilford Riley on. In fact, he was on the show last Friday. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that podcast, please go back and listen to it. And it was great because we talked about his book, Lies My Liberal Teacher Told Me, and all the things that we're being taught wrong about this country because they're trying to drive a narrative. Again, very much like what El-Sayed thinks, America is an awful place. Think of the woman who's running for the governor of Wisconsin, Francesca Hong, who believes that America is rooted in colonialism and white supremacy, and not that we went through a phase of that, but that we're still doing that today, and that we have to. What do they mean by that? The goal ultimately is the complete overthrow of the republic as you know it. That's why they want to pack the Supreme Court. And you've got Democrats out there like Pete Buttigieg, great example, right? Gives an interview with Sandra Smith on Fox News, I think 2 weeks ago. And he says, Sandra, I'm a reasonable, moderate Democrat. And then he goes on to argue why they should pack the Supreme Court. Because the Supreme Court needs to be reflective of the entire country. No, it doesn't. And that is a radical position. There's nothing moderate about packing the Supreme Court or any of their other nutty ideas. But you're seeing guys, even people that say they are the moderates, are bending to the will of the far left because that entire generation that is very angry and very much doesn't want to work and very much was raised on hearing all these lies by professors like this at Penn and other places. Well, that generation right now is only voting for Democrats who promise the far left agenda. That's the bottom line. Let me tell you about Dr. Mike Veneri, a great guy, great friend, the master of implant dentistry, a guy who's going to give you a beautiful smile that you deserve. My wife went to see him last year, got a beautiful smile upgrade. Dr. Mike gave me a mouth guard to wear at night to stop my snoring, and I've gotten such great sleep ever since he did that. He's also my family dentist, and Mama Zeoli discovered him for our family. Patrick, Claire, and Reagan all go see Dr. Mike. But where he shines, where he excels, is dental implants, complex dental procedures. In fact, other doctors and dentists send their patients to Dr. Mike for the really complex stuff, the stuff that you simply cannot get done anywhere else, or you can, but you won't be happy with it. From these big chain dental offices that care only about cost and making money. Dr. Mike cares about compassion and giving you a great smile. That's what separates him. And that's why for over 12 years, other doctors and dentists have sent their patients to Dr. Mike Veneria. So make your appointment today by going to veneriadental.com, VANARIA, veneriadental.com. You'll love the treatment. You'll love the people in the office. You will love the fact that they'll take such great care of you, and you'll have a beautiful smile that you deserve. veneriadental.com. In the You Can't Make It Up department, tomorrow, the Senate committee is going to have a vote whether to censor Dr. Anthony Fauci after censor's the wrong word. Hold him in contempt of Congress, I should say. Hold him in contempt after he refused to answer questions, despite the fact that he has the protection of a presidential pardon. I can't predict whether or not the vote's going to clear the committee. I don't know. I think Rand Paul's smart enough to not bring the vote up unless he has the votes. Because you don't bring a vote like that up unless you have the votes, because then it's vindication for Fauci and it makes him look really, really bad. He's the chairman of the committee. He controls who's on his committee. You would think theoretically the committee would go along with what the chairman wants, and they would refer. It's a vote to refer. A referral to the Department of Justice to see if Fauci deserves to be criminally charged. But my friend Johnny Cook, our buddy, creepy comic on the YouTube chat, my libertarian friend who always keeps me honest, he loves monitoring NPR. He has a hashtag NPR is beyond parody, and it's great. And they have a story. I don't monitor NPR, so I rely on Johnny to send this stuff my way. After Fauci's Senate hearing, experts worry about the chilling effect on public health. You can't make that headline up. Man, the chilling effect on public health by trying to hold Anthony Fauci accountable for the chilling effect on public health. Oh my God. That's amazing. I swear, do they, when they're typing this stuff in NPR, Jared, do they have a straight face while they're doing this, you think?
I really do think that they, again, the problem is everybody, is your political person, everyone they know. And they were all sitting watching that same trial, and they're like, hearing, they're like, this is going to silence the science. These people are putting an end to the science. Timmy, go write an article about go interview some health experts about how now they're terrified to do anything because Rand Paul is killing the science. And everyone's like, yeah, you're so right, Betty. You've got this thing under control. That's how I think it went down.
I mean, literally, Fauci, they went after doctors for misinformation and disinformation. They passed a law in California because of Fauci that you could lose your medical license if you weren't talking about the science. I remember interviewing Dr. Maz about this when it happened, and he said it was very dangerous for medicine and science. How many people were deplatformed? People that are prominent physicians, Marty Makary, Jay Bhattacharya. How many of these people were silenced and called quacks and kooks by Anthony Fauci and his minions? Conspiracy theorists injecting people with horse dewormer and everything else, telling people to go outside and get some sunshine. Oh my God, vitamin D. Whoa, these crazy people. He's the architect of silencing free speech. Are you kidding me? But this is it's perfect NPR, it really is. And if you listen to it, I did not, but it goes something like this. After the contentious hearing where Dr. Anthony Fauci was targeted by Senator Rand Paul. That is the NPR voice filter.
It's a little slow. It's the NPR Rand Paul has a chilling effect on doctors nationwide across this great country after Anthony Fauci testified before. If there is a chilling effect, which there likely is, turns out if you lie when you're the public health expert, people will get pissed. Chilling effect intended. Maybe if you know the opposite thing to be true during a public health emergency, don't say the opposite. Be chilled. Be chilled to know that that's the case. I'm good with it.
Imagine.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Go forth and be chilled. All of you. Go.
Maybe the takeaway is don't freaking lie if you're running a public pandemic and if the nation's relying on you for information and you're selling everybody on BS you know isn't true. Maybe just be honest with people. You don't think, masks don't work, and you're contradicting yourself after you contradicted yourself. You also know the vaccine does not stop transmission, and you're lying about that to everybody, giving them a false sense of safety and security. You're saying that everybody can get this virus the same, and the death rate is going to be as high as 2%, even though you wrote down 0.2 to 0.3%, thus putting the most vulnerable people at the greatest risk because you treated everybody the same exact way in the name of social justice. Maybe don't lie and say 6 feet when you're just pulling that out of your you-know-what. You have no idea what 6 feet even means. Maybe don't lie when you and your little minions know this virus came from a laboratory because you said it came from a laboratory and you said this was us. And then you all said, let's use our Gmail to talk about this so that none of this comes to light in the future. Let's evade the oversight of the Freedom of Information Act by using personal Gmail addresses. Maybe just a start. You don't mock and belittle doctors who offer alternative therapies when you don't even have a therapy yet. Maybe you don't go out there and push the vaccine on people who don't need it, like kids, for example, by going door to door and shaming mothers and shaming dads and shaming children and making them believe their parents are horrible people because they're not injecting them with a brand new vaccine that hasn't even been tested on kids, that was banned in Europe for children. Europe stopped injecting kids with the COVID vaccine because of the dangerous effects it was having on healthy young adults. Not in our country. We move forward with it full steam ahead. Maybe don't do stuff like that. Just saying. Maybe. I don't know. Is that crazy?
You're part of the chilling effect, Rich.
Well, the chilling effect, Jared, was really on full display last week when Dr. Anthony Fauci, Saint Fauci, was forced to, and now we're reporting, and that's...
Welcome back to the Rich
It's very
Zeoli
soothing, though, if you want to fall asleep, isn't it?
It's what I love is when they get spicy, like NPR spicy. They're like, excuse me, sir, excuse me. This is actually like, oh, big dramatic pauses.
Whoa! Come on, it's coming.
I need to tell you, I did a far end connect with Terry Gross from, I think she's All Things Considered.
Oh, and yes.
Yeah, I'm sure she's still there. She did, not kidding, 15 takes on the open. Joining us now.
Wow.
It was a guy I used to work with, Chris Kobach from Kansas. But joining us now is...
I know Chris, yeah.
Yeah. She was joining I don't like that. Joining us. Is he joining us or is he with us? With us. Let's try with us. With us now, Chris Kobach, who has spearheaded... Spearheaded makes it sound like he's doing it, but it's... And all this could have been done before he arrived. And he's sitting and looking at me and he's like, is this work? Am I on this? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
maybe.
Right.
Possibly.
I don't know, I mean, we sat there for 15 minutes while they wrote the open to his interview while we were like just listening to it. It was spectacular.
Amazing.
Classic NPR.
Amazing. Wow. Well, I wanted to get into data centers today, but obviously when El-Sayed had his press conference, we shifted gears. We started the show prepping today, didn't think they were going to have a winner called. So we were going to take the show in an entirely different direction. Then they called the race. Then he had his press conference. So we readjusted, and that's what we do. But tomorrow, I want to get into the AI stuff with you. And here's what I'd like to know from you. And let me know now in the YouTube chat, or you can message me on social media. Where do you stand on data centers? And the reason why I'm asking is because there's some news on this, including in Texas, where basically AI data centers are now on pause. The president came out and said, whoever wins the AI race is going to win AI. It's even bigger than anything that has happened in literally hundreds of years. Where do you stand on these data centers? As this debate is now happening, and there was an article that I saw basically said that data centers are now, it's breaking us, how data centers broke American politics. And I heard El-Sayed say this in his speech today when he said, if Mike Rogers wins, we'll have data centers everywhere. So now politicians are using this as part of their platform and trying to scare people with them. So let me know what you think on that and leave a comment. I'll read some on the air tomorrow. And then we'll see where the show takes us tomorrow. And then, of course, Friday at the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. So tomorrow will be the last video podcast of the week. And then we'll be streaming on YouTube on Friday through 1210 WPHD for the live show, 3 to 6 p.m., which I need you to be part of at the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. So we'll get into that tomorrow. So let me know what you think on that, and we'll go from there. And we'll find this out. But before I go, yesterday they had a big press conference in Philadelphia, and they also were looking at fraud in California and Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz and a bunch of other people out there, the fraud that's going on, the fraud task force looking into this, Medicaid fraud, in-home healthcare fraud. It's big business, it's big money, and it's ripping you off. So do not tell me, not that you're saying this, but do not tell me, the hypothetical whoever, that waste, fraud, and abuse is not real, because it's very, very real. Take a listen.
0.2 million adults that enrolled in Obamacare's Medicaid expansion may not have met federal eligibility requirements in 2024. That's 46% of expansion enrollment that year, and an estimated $33 billion in taxpayer costs. Paragon's founder testified on those findings today.
There's the federal eligibility rules that the federal government does a very poor job of enforcing.
Do all states follow the federal rules?
No, they don't.
Some of them cheat, don't they?
Many of them cheat.
Paragon Health Institute President Brian Blase testified at that hearing, and he joins me now. Brian, 46% of enrollment expansion may have been fraudulent?
Yeah, he will. Thanks for having me on. You know, Medicaid is a joint federal-state program traditionally for the most vulnerable citizens, children, people with disabilities, senior citizens. Obamacare dramatically expanded Medicaid to able-bodied working-age adults. And the way Medicaid works, the federal government reimburses state spending. The federal government pays states 7 times more when they enroll an able-bodied working-age adult through the Obamacare expansion.
Amazing. Really amazing stuff. That was Will Kane, who I just got a text from his producer. Can I join next week? I can't. But maybe the week after. We'll see. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Get ready for Friday in Cape May. And thank you for listening to the Rich Zeoli podcast. Appreciate it.
Let's go.